Welcome, golf fans, pursuers of knowledge in the almighty dollar. This is your golf guru bringing you the 2023 The Players Championship. This is my Before the Lock show where I'm going to go over ownership projections. We're going to talk weather. I've got some updates on some stroke gain information pulled from past that, I don't know, I think was a little interesting, so I'm going to share that with you. And yeah, that's it. Oh, and also I do have the winners for the giveaway that I'll talk briefly about. Thank you for stopping by. This should only take about 15-20 minutes, and you'll have a little more information to help you lock in those final lineups, and again, for maybe any final bet thoughts. Okay, let's go talk a little golf. All right, so as mentioned, I did put all your entries into the generator. I have 3 lucky winners, and the simplest thing I'm going to do instead of announcing here, I'm just going to send you guys a YouTube congratulations. You'll get that from me probably within the hour of seeing this show or this show getting out. And I'll just need your email address to forward you over the cash. So might be able to use it to get in some entries before the tournament starts. All right, so you'll be seeing that shortly. So congrats to the winners. All right, so real quick, the weather, at least right now, has changed a little bit. And I think there's something that we need to look at. We'll dive deeper in this. But in short, right now, if you've been watching any of the live coverage, they are getting quite a bit of wind as we speak. It's supposed to die down a bit in the afternoon. But what's kind of interesting is what I've been seeing for the Friday afternoon, where the wind is going to pick up and possible thunderstorms. So there might be what I would consider a PM AM flight advantage, and we need to look into that. And I might build some teams to correlate just in case. So that is a short of it. Then the weekend looks great. No issues at all. I think I mentioned on Monday there was possible some wind, so we got to keep an eye out for Sunday. But really right now it looks like the possible trouble will be Friday afternoon, if any. So we'll dive a little deeper into that. All right, so something is interesting that I found that went over the past champion stroke gain data. And as we know, and you've probably seen, it's very hard to predict who's going to win here. There's been some crazy ones like a Siwoo Kim who came out of literally nowhere. There's been a couple of these guys, even before stroke gain data, that, and because the volatility of if somebody goes off with a putter, around the green and and even irons that you just don't know. But I think it was kind of interesting on some of the information I found. And the first thing, of course, working our way from off the tee, this is stroke gain data since 2004, so pretty much since the ShotLink era started, going through all the list of winners and where they what did they gain off the tee or rank. The biggest thing you need to take away is that kind of what I was on is that gaining off the tee is not as important as maybe some of the other categories. And on average, if you kind of took all these winners, which would be past 18 winners, I guess that'd be the number. If you add all that up and round this to an average, per round, the champions gained about a half stroke per round. So as you see, it kind of fluctuates. I mean, of course, Cam Smith would be one of the great outliers, but he gained so much with the putter that it didn't matter. I think he gained like 11 strokes on the greens, but he drove it all over the place. But was able to get up and down when he needed to. KJ Choi also would be probably one of the lowest, and then Phil Mickelson also, which no shocker, very good scrambler, very good short game, very good putter. So there's different ways to win here. Hence, why it's hard to predict. Is there, there's not a perfect golfer that fits. You just need to got to go off with the irons and a putter pretty much, and that's what we're going to show here. So then when we get to approach to the green, same thing, looking at the past 18 winners of the players, and you could see there's only Webb Simpson who actually lost with his irons, but really same thing as like a Cam Smith, just went nuts with the putter. He actually one of the only champions that lost strokes on Friday and bogeys and whatever, and still pulled it out. But long story short, if you take all those guys, average it out, 1 point, almost a stroke and a half is what they gained per round. Remember that, per round, not total, per round with the irons, which adds up pretty significant. So if you look at his strokes, it'd be 2 strokes off the tee on average. But when you get to here, you'd be 6 strokes, gained over the tournament, if that's what you averaged against the field. So again, irons, as we've already kind of been talking about, the approach game is one of the top, indicators of guys that we're interested in. And then now we go around the green, because I saw some information out there where people are like, literally, you just need to look at putting it around the green. And I'm like, nah, I don't agree with that at all. That should actually say ARG, but you can see here around the green, on average, the past champions gained about a half stroke per round. Hence, if you flush that out, would be around 2 strokes total on average. But the last thing, again, was, and this is why it's so hard to predict, and it's, and it is almost any golf tournament, it's pretty rare The last time I remember someone actually lost strokes putting and still won a PGA event would have been Jordan Spieth at the RBC Heritage. But as you see here, on average, 1.2 strokes need to be gained with the putter, and that's pretty standard. You don't see one guy who won this tournament, which, again, makes sense, actually losing strokes. Rory would have been actually the closest, I guess, if I look through this, that, didn't really do it at all with the putter, but gained quite a bit off the tee, gained quite a bit with the irons, and gained on around the green. So anyways, I just thought that was interesting. It backed up everything that I've been doing from my stroke gain analysis and custom. Now, again, it's all historical data, and literally someone could come out and just gain a ton off the tee and maybe just, chips everything in and they win. That can happen. But what we're trying to figure out here is, what is the winning formula? It's very difficult here at TPC Sawgrass, the players, but we can see at least some tendencies. And like I said, going into it, I've always felt irons is typically the main thing you need to win a tournament, and putting. And then the other two, typically are, it's all varying on the course, but typically that's the things that I look at. All right, so I wanted to share that with you. You've got that. And again, all it did for me was kind to make me happy that everything I've been doing seems to be on task. All right, let's go jump over, look at some ownership projections, weather, and then I'll get you guys out of here. All right, so I've jumped over into Fantasy National. And as always, if you are doing any kind of DFS or also any betting, and you want to do your own analysis for golf, I highly recommend this tool. That's my plug. And the one thing that we want to look at is how many lineups have already been generated. Now, I'm recording this Wednesday, I don't know, probably around noon Eastern, somewhere around there. We've got 8,000 lineups, and I'm expecting that to grow significantly as the day goes on. But it's still a really good sample to see who's coming in, where's the chalk, where's some opportunities maybe to get different that you still feel comfortable playing a guy. And the number that we're going to want to look at, especially if this is the first time you've ever watched me do this, is this far right column. And off the bat, I mean, if you see these stars, these are the guys that I selected or picked as my picks, my player pool. And I'm not going to lie, I was a little shocked, not shocked, but caught off guard that Max Homa actually right now is coming in as the chalkiest, at least through Fantasy National projections. And again, if you don't know how this works, if you use Fantasy National, you have your favorite players, and then you can actually just, submit this into a CSV, create a bunch of teams, and then that gets put right into Draftkings, and then it's kind of an automated thing where you have a ton of teams. If you do that, I still, very rare, but I still hand build almost all my teams. But then again, I don't mass do 150 entries or even 100. It's very rare. Again, it is a bit of the lotto, but typically the way you are going to win this thing, especially in the big game, is the most, chances and the most combinations. So I'll put that out there. All right. Anyways, moving down. So my top two players that I was skipping Rory, I was skipping Rahm, and I was skipping Xander. And that seems right now to be the way people are leaning. Now you see Rory's third. And it's, again, as I mentioned, not that I wouldn't use him, but the two guys that I feel most comfortable with that could do well at the top would be Homa and Scheffler right now with everything I've been watching. And of course, the stroke gain data backing that up too. You got Day coming in at fourth. You got JT, of course, past winner, and also kind of fits a lot of the things we like. It's all about what that putter does. Rahm's all the way down here, below 18%. I mean, not all the way down, but again, things could change. But again, kind of shocking. I'm sure, you're going to get some more of the casual fans that are going to do DFS that do it rarely because of the Millie Maker. And, if you've watched any golf, you know how well Jon Rahm is doing. So that number, I would be shocked if it doesn't go up. You got Cantlay, then Keegan Bradley, been good recent form. Also historically has done well here. Morikawa, who, had a presser. I don't think there was anything he kind of stated that I thought was interesting. One thing, I guess, when he had his, T41 or whatever his finish was in 2021, he said he felt like that was the best he was swinging, but also kind of, I guess he played the course. A couple of these guys, well, quite a few of these guys, I'm sure, played in their junior days, the junior players from the AJPGA, whatever it is. And, so I had some visibility, but really it was his first time playing. And then, of course, he had the bad draw, and also said that his swing going into 2022 was not good. I think he stated that he felt really good in 2020 would have been the year that he thought he could do something, but of course that was canceled. You got Victor Hovland, who I mentioned about has made some swing changes, has a new swing coach. Not made any swing changes, but got a new swing coach and was having a bit of the double miss and has that kind of out of his game. So watch out for Victor Hovland if the putter works. You got T-Hat. Had a good API at Corey Connors, who does everything that I'd be looking for. Just hopefully he can keep the putting up on Bermuda. Willsey, same thing, inside 5 feet, 10 feet, mostly inside 5 feet. When he takes that putter kind of, if you watch him, takes it kind of outside and then comes into the ball, catches it on the toe. It makes me quite nervous. And Killer Keith, of course, you got the length off the tee with also great iron play and has been putting better. Tom Kim, he is a rookie to the players, first time. So we'll see how that all works out. There's only been in the history of the players 2 winners that have won on their rookie event or rookie outing. So just side note, and I think that was a while ago. There was a guy, I think it was 94. I cannot remember his name, but he was like 200 someone to 1 to win that thing, and out of nowhere, there he is. So Sun JM, very steady. As I always call that kind of the condom play. You got Siwoo Kim, who of course past champion. We talked about that. Who won? I think it was 2017. And that was another almost like 150, 200 to 1 winner. You got Chris Kirk, of course, who just won the Honda, playing great golf. 20 Finau, not the greatest track record here, but of course has a bunch of wins here, within the fall. And you got Shane Lowry, pretty good track record, rookie, past champion. Xander, just Florida at a whole. It doesn't really stand. I know Xander had, I think, one good showing here, but still trying to figure out if Xander and Bermuda is a good combination. But of course, he's got the game that, at any time, if it gets tough, it could definitely translate to a win. Cameron Young, not the game that I'm looking for. Tom Hoagie, I'm actually, you should see I've selected, so he's less than 10. I'm not going to go through and give you a criteria for all these guys, so let's just look more through. Fitzy should make sense. You got Ben Griffin, Sahith Theegala, just a little nervous about off the tee with him, but can definitely score. Adam Scott, I don't think I mentioned this. Let's go look at Adam Scott real quick while we're on him, because I didn't bring it up, and he wasn't in my player pool, but I probably will play him a little bit more than I was thinking. And a lot of it, I just forgot how good his record is here. So he's played this thing, I don't know, what, 19 times? Is that what it's telling me? And he's made the cut 3 out of the 19, which is very rare. Of course, he won way back in 04, pretty much as when he was just a rookie, and as of late, not bad. Missed a cut last year, but again, I don't remember where his flight was, if it was that afternoon crazy one. But anyway, I just want to kind of call that out because I did not in my, pick show that the guys had a great pedigree. What I did say is that when I've ever watched him at the players, he has no fear of 17 or the other par threes. He's done very well. But also, that was past where his irons have fallen off a little bit. The putter's actually gotten better, and the irons have kind of fell in box. So we'll see how that all works out. Hopefully he gets the irons back and plays well. Johnny Vegas, I also mentioned kind of a quinky dink where typically he's not a very good putter, but actually has gained, 7 out of the 9 times he's played here with the putter. And also you put together the elite ball skill off the tee and doing well with the irons. I think, that is no shocker for the price tag at 6,800 that he is quite popular. Wyndham Clark's been playing good golf. Jordan Spieth, not a great record here, so he could be quite a differentiator, contrary pick. Could win this thing. And, if you had him in your lineup, that could be a big difference. Anything under 10% could really kind of flip things. Tommy Fleetwood, great record here. Davis Riley, who's showed a little form. Of course, Valspar's coming up. I'm really interested to seeing where his odds are going to be. I'm guessing it's going to be really bad. Justin Suh, Adam Hadwin, want to pick a mine. Webb Simpson's getting a little more love. Of course, he's, had some good history here, and he had that good Sunday. I'm going to kind of stick away from Webb. I've been back and forth on this, but I think it's just been so much bad, and for just a little bit of good that I could just all of a sudden put him in a bunch of lineups. Now, maybe a lineup, but yeah, I would feel actually more secure putting Justin Rose. He's actually got a win at Pebble Beach here recently, and he's, less owned. And also, I think a better putter, probably a better all-around game, period. So if you are thinking about playing Webb Simpson, I would look to Justin Rose first. You got the recent winner at the API, Kitayama, coming in at 4%. Seamus Power, which again, I think is a pretty interesting contrary play with less than 5% ownership. I think his game makes sense here, even though I believe, let me just verify this. I think he's played here, once? Played here twice. He's made the cut both times. His game, for me, mentally, makes sense, and you can see he's gained both times. I want to go look at one more thing about that. I want to look at what he's been doing with the irons, because he's gained with the putter both times he's played here, but it looked like he did not with the irons. So yeah, he lost with the iron. So now let's go look real quick here. So he had a terrible outing at the players with the irons, but had a good one with the Genesis. Gained a little at waste management. Had a really nice one at RSM. I guess overall, saying he's not the greatest, but I always feel like he's been a pretty decent iron player. You see, he lost quite a bit here back in the fall. Yeah, that's interesting. So the irons fire, it looks like the putter is typically a weapon. I don't know. That's something to think about. I just wanted to throw that out. Thomas Stretchery, right? I mean, coming off the European tours, we've seen him now. I don't know, what 6, 7 events he's been in within at least recently. Yeah, so for the European, it looks like he got through on the Corn Ferry and then started in the summer, and he's actually been playing good golf. I don't know. I always go back to him at the Olympics. Didn't have a very good showing there, but I mean, yeah, a bunch of top 40s, and actually closest was on Bermuda at Butterfield. So I get it. I guess I'm still trying to get my legs under me about Thomas Detry. You got Adam Svensson, which was one of my picks. Great iron player, and actually has been gaining with the putter lately. Hideki under 4%. I think there's another differentiator. I think everybody's still a little hesitant. He had some injuries he was getting over. Hasn't been the best of form, but of course, Hideki, just an elite talent, especially with the ball striking. We're actually really good around the greens. You can kind of see the putter overall has been actually gaining. Let's go take a look. I just want to see again off the top of my head. Yeah, I mean, for a guy that had an 8th, and I bring this up because I think people forget, and the year that it was canceled, he came out, he was 9 under. Now, that's almost feels like forever, but it was a couple of years ago. But his round 1, which again, no one's probably looking at, he shot 9 under and would have been a really good chance of winning. So I think from a bet, I think he was still around 80 to 1, 90 to 1. I mean, I think it is definitely something you want to bet. And then you got to make the decision if you want to gain some advantage on the field playing Hideki. So yeah, that's interesting. You got Straka. My buddy Henley is about 3.5%. Nick Taylor, that I was interested at 3. So I'm kind of looking at just my guys, and then of course you get to see the other guys. Sammy Burns, that would be shock the world. I mean, again, worth putting in a lineup if he's less than 3%. My Bobby Shelton, Aaron Rye. Of course, Aaron Rye, I mentioned to you guys that he is local to Ponte Vedra and belongs to TPC Sawgrass and plays quite a bit out there. So he's kind of my low end guy that I've been. So if Aaron Rye goes awry, it could be a little ugly for me, but I'm not putting him in every lineup, but quite a few I've noticed. He's kind of my safety pick down there at 6,000. Also, Sam Ryder I like, Joel Damon. All these guys are less than 2. See if anybody stands out. I think Alex Noren, for me, makes sense here. Andrew Putnam, some guys that you could use. Even Brendan Todd. No one's talking about Todd, but Pebble Beach, he showed up. It's kind of shocking he missed the cut. The Sony makes sense. The CJ Cup. Schwab, maybe that's what I'm thinking about, which is at Colonial. Why was I thinking it was the PGA Championship? That's interesting. I think what I'm thinking about is a Charles Schwab. So I feel like he was right down there, even with JT at the end. Sorry, now I got to click on this and see what my brain is thinking. So Burns, Scheffler, Todd. That's got to be what I was thinking. I don't know why. Colonial does remind me a bit of Southern Hills, but that's a bit off. Anyways, it's amazing how the brain kind of forgets. But, he's had some good signs. So again, all that meant was Brendan Todd's game kind of fits here. Good putter, hits every fairway, which is going to give him opportunities with the irons. All right, I already mentioned my David Lipsky call. This is going to be interesting, but my call right now, I'll go on the record, is that Doug Gim, who we're all pretty interested. I mean, at least if you watch golf, Doug Gim's come out of nowhere both times with no form and done well at this track the last couple of years. My call is this year. He misses the cut. I mean, you see what it has formed. Let's go see the players. So same thing, right? I mean, missed 3 cuts before the players and had a 6, and then keep rolling down. And then before that, players he did okay at the Arnold Palmer miscut it. So he was in better form in 21. It made sense. But yeah, my call is right now. I don't know why, but there's not a whole lot to back this up. I just like the way Lipsky's game should fit here, and my call is that David Lipsky will make the cut and Doug Gim will miss the cut. So I'm saying they're going to kind of flip. They also, for me, for whatever reason, just seem a lot alike. Maybe it's their pricing. They both kind of look a little similar. Lipsky had a really nice Corn Ferry, and we've just been kind of waiting. He has his ups and downs, but I think this course should fit him. It's kind of funny. Seabez is that low. I think, again, his game could translate. I think JJ Spawn could possibly do something here. My buddy Smell the Glove, Lucas Glover, great ball striker, but just, the putting. Aaron Badley has actually been playing some decent golf and can putt. Mackenzie Hughes, this is interesting. Of course, Mackenzie Hughes won the Sanderson Farms, which is Bermuda, and it's a tough course, man. I mean, you've got to drive it straight, but he kind of had a nice little run here. This again is back in the late fall. Kind of showed up a little bit this issue, but this is the issue. But I mean, what that guy does is putts good around the green. I've always say is a very, very poor man's Cam Smith, but the irons, you can see it, the irons fired for him at CC Jackson. I don't know. I mean, that'd be a crazy throw that in there because it just somehow, like I said, you always got to look for this. Is that Nicholas Chevary? I'm going to mess that name up. I don't know why. Of course, I also mentioned he is a Ponte Vedra local and also practices quite a bit here. And what I worried about him is that I think he stated that his goal for this year and has been is to get enough status to make the Players, and he's done that now with that win at Puerto Rico this past weekend. So I don't know, it would just be too much. But again, if you want to get super crazy for a guy at min price pretty much that could make the cut, he would be someone to look at. All right, I think that's enough. I even gave you a little more information than maybe you probably wanted on the ownership projections, but you have it, and it gives you some ideas if you want some contrarian plays. And now, last thing I want to talk about is the weather. And as always stated, you're going to want to pull up this Ponte Vedra Beach or Volano. That's the spot that you're going to want to use closest to the course. And then, of course, Super Forecast. You can look at forecast, but Super Forecast is nice when you click on that because it kind of gives you an hour by hour of what they're predicting. I mentioned that they've got quite a bit of wind, so not a lot of guys, as you will see, at the driving range, because if you've ever played golf in the wind, it'll screw your swing up in a heartbeat. So it'll be kind of interesting. It's supposed to die down in the afternoon, even though this kind of show it's staying there, but that's what they're stating on Golf Channel. What we're more concerned about is what is going on. So Thursday now, what is showing is some possible little bit of rain, which is kind of interesting, but I'm not too worried. But what that could do, if you get a sprinkler, it could soften things up. And so here's my narrative, my theory on why I'm going to try to build some teams that are kind of PM, even though typically the winner comes out of AM, PM. I think it'd be kind of just, again, a little contrarian if you put a PM, AM team together, because what they're showing right now is that Friday could get really windy in the afternoon. So if you go with the PM guys, yes, they might get a little bit of rain, but the wind is nothing. And again, I think that a little bit of rain is, for me, is a good thing to fire at some pins and do that kind of thing. And then you get that early morning start. So now you got to make sure you get the guys that are getting, even though you go PM, you got to kind of check, because to get the real advantage, it looks like you need the guys that'll be like 8 a.m. Starts, because they could almost be done before these, bigger winds kick in. Now, again, it's weather, and this could definitely not happen. But, I always think again, talking about the Millie Maker, you got to get a little unique when you've got, I don't even remember how many entries. Is that thing 100,000 entries or something like that? So that's something that I'm thinking about. And then the Saturday, Sunday looks fine. But again, what you want to do, pull up this Ponte Vedra Beach through Windfinder, especially if you're going to be playing Showdown, and keep an eye on the weather, because it will change. All right, guys, that's it. Let's jump out and wrap this thing up. All right, so thank you so much for spending time for me. That was my Before the Lock show. Hopefully that gives you even some further information, some thoughts. I went through the ownership projections a little more in detail, especially if you just watched, for some reason, clicked on this show and didn't watch my preview or picks. If you did not, I highly recommend at least look at the pick show if you want to get into like real deep analysis on the players, which you might or might not, but you can just fast forward it and go to my picks, and that's the guys that I'm going with. If you are new to this and just want to get some teams in the Millie Maker, I understand that. As always, if you do me the honor, click that like button, share us with anybody else. If you are new to my channel, I would appreciate if you click that subscribe button and check me out going forward. And for the people that told me who they thought would win the Players, I do have the 3 winners selected, and you will be getting a notification from me through YouTube comments. So if you're watching this, check your YouTube account. You might have won $100 to put towards the Players or whatever else you want. And lastly, of course, follow me on Twitter for any updates, anything I see. I will throw it out there in the Twitter world. And all the best of luck. Enjoy the Players. I'm excited about it. My last note that I will say is I had the notes, past notes, that I told myself, just go very light or don't even worry about the DFS side. Just bet this thing. That's easy to say, but I love the DFS side. And the reason why I stated that is because how hard, when you do all this analysis and then you see what the leaderboard looks like come Sunday, you're like, what? I did, yeah, I had that guy or that guy, but where did these 5 guys come from or something like that? So just enjoy the the craziness at times of what the players could be. I mean, maybe we'll be shocked and it'll be the who's who that we thought would be up there, but typically what the players shows you is going to be a few guys like an Anibal Lahiri that show up and you're like, where'd this guy come from? So, all right, guys, have a great tournament. Enjoy, and I will talk to you on Monday, where I believe we've got the last, we got Valspar, I believe. So the last Florida swing, and then we head over to Texas, which for the match play, which might be the last time we have a match play for quite a while. And I'm super excited about that. It's one of my favorite tournaments. A lot of people don't like it. I think it's awesome. So, all right, guys, got some good golf coming up. Have a great weekend. Talk to you later.